by to 7 rows deep and rolling up to the start-finish line. Looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside.
As they can. Say we're making an amazing dive into turn 1, and electroshocks off. Eggful gets the move.
But MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 5 different punches. Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into town row, it's a big crash. It's a big crash between the two title contenders.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 2 of the Simufur GT Legends series. This time, we've flown across the pond over to sunny Wisconsin, where we're going to be tackling Road America for this round in the GT Legends series. I'm joined in the commentary box by Paliku'i, and we're going to be watching as these magnificent GT1 machines tackle the countryside in Sheboygan County, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day too. It pretty much imitates what it would be in real life right around this time. I mean, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's where this track is located. I've had the privilege of being here for one of the few races I've witnessed in person. It's a gorgeous track as we are following on board right now with Indigo Lopez on an outlap right now. Suzuka Shark going around for the last 3 minutes of practice here. This track, of course, it's pretty high speed, a lot of sweeping turns, but very technical when you get into it. I mean, what do you think the challenges are going to be today for these drivers?
I mean, compared to Silverstone that we saw last week, there is a lot of elevation change. Of course, Silverstone being built on an old RAF runway had to be very flat, but this was a purpose-built racetrack built in the 1950s, and the overall layout hasn't really changed much since the track was made. Of course, motorbikes take a slightly different layout, adding a couple extra turns just after the carousel. But I think, this is another one of those tracks where, since it's a bit of an older track, you don't have as much forgiveness. You have all these modern tracks like Paul Ricard, for example, plenty of runoff, lots of room for drivers to make those mistakes and recover from them. But Road America, I mean, it's just grass. So if the drivers do make a mistake, which very, very easy to do in these cars, I think the consequences are going to be pretty dire.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, thankfully, I believe in this series, the damage is off, so ultimately, it's not going to matter too much if they run into the wall, but they're just going to lose a ton of time regardless, as we see right there, going into the kink, that Lister just slamming the wall right out of turn 11, which is that kink right there. There's a lot of spaces here where you want to take as much speed as you can, but it's finding that balance between carrying that speed and being able to hold as much grip in the corner as you can. And, especially for those high-speed sections, there's not a lot of run up there for them to recover.
Yeah, definitely. And with how fast these corners are, and some of these straights, these drivers are probably going to be hitting close to 300 kilometers an hour in some of the cars if they're running lower wing. But they're definitely going to be getting close to the 180 mile an hour mark with just how powerful these cars are. And as you said, lots of sweeping corners does actually introduce a kind of interesting challenge, as Newt has a bit of a struggle through turn number 1. These cars don't really have much downforce, so there is actually a lot more thought required in getting the cars around the corners, like having to use that weight transfer, getting off the throttle, or gently kind of tapping the brakes just to get that weight on the front end. It does introduce a few extra kind of braking zones where I think in modern machinery you maybe wouldn't be wouldn't be braking either as much or as hard. So we might see opportunities for overtakes where normally there wouldn't be any, as we see Ferrari looking to make a move on the outside of that of the Celine.
Yeah, no, and definitely here, given Silverstone, if that's any indication, it's going to be very interesting to see what these drivers do in such close quarters. The racing last time by was super close, and I think we're both expecting that to be the case here. So making moves is going to be critical, particularly on the high-speed flowing corners as we reach the end of practice here. But yeah, just take a look, see if there's going to be like sudden moves. Makes a little bit of contact there. Bit squirrely going in, trying a little bit of a dive, but, you know, it's just practice session, thankfully. Parker's going to go back into the pits here as people are going to finish their practice sessions, but it's going to be interesting to see where these moves are going to be made. What drivers here are going to take those additional risks to see if they can secure just that one position up, as every position here is going to be pretty much a godsend for any driver and going to be tough to get. Particularly the carousel and the kink. If we see moves into there, they have to watch out, as other drivers are going to be right behind them, ready to pounce.
I mean, definitely. Some of these corners are, very, very long. I think a lot. This does kind of. I don't want to say it's typical across a lot of different American tracks, in that, most. It's a lot of fast straights with very heavy braking zones and kind of tighter corners with a few technical fast sweeping sections. So I think with the amount of tricky braking areas and some of the technical corners as well through the track, it's going to promote really good and aggressive overtaking, as well as rewarding drivers who are very, very precise with their inputs. It is a true delicate ballet that these drivers have to perform, trying to get the throttle right, and there's the Viper demonstrating just how important it is to throttle at the right point, because if you get it wrong, you do end up right in the wall, which is ideally where you don't want to be. You want to use those brakes and throttle just to drive the car around, using the brake to kind of get more steering and the throttle to put on that power on the exit.
Yeah, ideally to get it there. And as we watch everyone finish their laps here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the standings for this championship. Now, we're just one round in, but as you can see here, I mean, we have the championship fight shaping up. The last time out, I mean, Xavier Felipe Rank came out on top. The last one, it was a really close battle between the top three that you see here, now only separated by 4 points coming into it. And as you can see, we got a lot of Ferraris up in the front, but as far as the variety of cars go, it's anyone's game. Hang on, stop. Hang on just a minute. I believe we have a couple of audio issues here. Stand by as I get it. My commentary partner here, we're just not hearing him right now, but as I continue on, as we get him up and online, we, of course, as you can see from these, I mean, the Aston Martin, while it's on top, we have the Ferrari there, just trying to stay, within contention, and then, of course, the Lamborghinis below. It's something that you want to see in variety of racing here as we take a little bit more down the leaderboard here. And of course, we got our first lister down in 15th. But as my partner was explaining, there was an adjustment in the BOP, which is going to be interesting to see coming into this race. So it's really going to be a matter of what we're going to see out of the Aston Martin here today, and if they'll be able to keep up. And of course, we have Frei back here. Yeah, can you explain a little more about how this BOP is going to affect maybe the standings in the future?
I mean, there were a lot of Aston Martins we'd seen in the first round, and a lot of them seemed to be getting to the corners a lot easier than the other cars, and the stewards had deemed this to be due to the traction control, since they believed it gave the Aston Martin an unfair advantage compared to the other cars. They have deemed it illegal, and now our drivers will be racing with no traction control, no ABS, no electronic assists in any of the cars. So truly, this is just about the driver and how well they can get on with their machine.
Yeah, and it's just, of course, the variety of cars here has been, something that at least I believe the mods at RSS have given us at least real good close racing. That's also partially attributed to the balance of power that the stewards and league organizers have put in to make sure that everything's close. And I think that was very indicative of Silverstone. We saw tons of close battles, tons of 3-wides. I don't think there was a point during that race where we didn't have someone not within a second of somebody else.
Yeah, fantastic for the action. Not so great for my voice box. There was so much action happening throughout that race. I did not know where to begin. And I think we even have some new drivers that are entering the championship in this round. So that could shake up the championship a little bit more. A few drivers that I do know personally who have recently joined one of them's recently joined this league. One of them has been around for a while. I'm very interested to see what they can do, because I know that they're both very experienced drivers in their own right. So things are going to be really hotting up on the track today, as our drivers will be taking to the track to do qualifying very, very shortly.
And
here we are.
Speaking of which, we got a gaggle of cars all bunched up together trying to get out to set the fast time. This is open qualifying, so you can see everyone there. Look at the lister pulling out, I believe, who's that far back? Is that Mastone down back there? Yeah, Mastone, I think, pulled back in the pits as that entire crowd came back in, but we shall see. I believe... I'm trying to see who made it out first. I'm not getting that on my timing screen right now, but
I
they're going to have a
believe
massive
it's Vossi? Or I can't actually tell who's out in front at the moment. It's one of the listers.
Vossi's pretty far back there, I think. Yeah, I think it's one of the
Vossi's
listers.
second in this queue. I can't actually tell who is who's ahead of them. Yeah, it seems like my timing tower's gone a little bit strange. That's Oily.
Is that Oily?
It certainly is, in the number 26 Lister, who's managed to get out ahead of everybody else. One of the more important things in qualifying, well, we do have 30 full minutes worth of qualifying action. The most important thing is trying to find a gap, and with, I think we're at 25 drivers on the grid, I mean, there's certainly enough space to go around, but it's more a game of which drivers can get into their space and really just utilize it while they still can.
And
as Newt is now coming for our lap.
Speaking of smart moves, I think Newt's got the right idea here. Every single car is coming up around the back of the circuit. Adrian's just moving out now. He's got a ton of air to the driver in front, so I think Newt's going to also have a little bit of an advantage as well. Hopefully they can use it.
Definitely. I mean, the clean air on this track will definitely help through a lot of the fast sweeping corners. With as little aerodynamics as these cars have, the dirty air does still have at least somewhat of an effect. While the slipstream would be very helpful on some of the very long straights, I don't think they'll be able to make use of it on that kind of back area, turn 11, the kink, that sort of fast sweeping section of the track just after the carousel. I think that would probably be even worse to have a car ahead. And just with the amount of cars that are close to each other in qualifying, Newt is really making use of the space here, and hopefully they can set their lap as we look now to Olsen in the all black Celine coming down through turn. I've lost.
Maureen
I think that's
coming
turn
up
3.
to turn 5. Yes, coming up to turn 5 in Corvette corner. We saw one of the Lamborghinis go off there, and with as tight of a track this is, any inch you can get is going to be a benefit. As we can see Parker coming up over Corvette corner, so named for that nice Corvette bridge that is spanning over the track there as they make their way through turn 7 into the Hurry Downs, into turn 8, and then one of the more iconic corners, I may say, in motorsport, the carousel at Road America as he comes through turn 8 and then turn 9. This is considered one huge corner here, and you have to get the power right, you have to get the throttle right in order to go all the way around here as Parker tries to deftly navigate that, just barely clips the curb on the outside. You see Lamborghini in front trying to make the kink as wide as possible as you see Parker sweeping through that. Looks like that Lamborghini right there is pulling off to the side, not on a flying lap right now, as Olsen comes down into, I believe, that's going to be, it's going to be, I think, Canada corner there, I believe. Yes, Canada corner at turn 12, coming into the complex of turns 13 and 14. Penultimate corner here. You have to make sure you just barely clip the apex and then brake light, then a little bit harder coming around turn 14. Then you got to power on that exit, making sure you don't run too wide on that curb, and there completes a lap of Road America.
Olsen did go a little bit wide on the exit, just by a little bit, and they do have that other Celine just behind them. I think that is Larson who is behind, I think it was like P2 on the medium tyres. About a gap of 4/10 between them and RK, who has set a 2 minutes 5.1. Of course, these are only the first laps that we're seeing, and the times are going to, tumble down as the session progresses, as the track rubbers in, the temperature kind of develops, and a lot of these drivers, still yet to set a lap time, and a lot of them still trying to improve. RK does lock up a little bit when Celine's off the track. Coming up through Corvette now, they're going to be blasting their way down through these fast sweeping corners before coming into turn number 8 and number 9 of Carousel. The corner really does just feel like it goes on for forever and a day. So the drivers are just going to have that kind of ultimate patience of and picking the exact time that they need to put that throttle down.
Currently, preliminary times are coming in. I'm not sure if they've been validated yet, so you won't see the timing tower. Usually it takes a couple of laps for all the times to start coming in, but right now, as it stands, RK up on top with a 2:05.1. As I say that, Newt actually takes the lead with a 2:04.7, so that leaves Newt in first, followed by RK in second, then Daniel Tabner in third with a 2:05.3, followed by Jacob in fourth at the 2:05.5, and then Adrian with a 2:05.53.
And we've had a new driver go actually on pole there. Sorry to interrupt, but that's Rafael Rodriguez, who's just gapped Newt by about 6/10 for a 2:04.1, fastest lap of the session so far. But again, there is 23 minutes left in this session, so it is still anyone's game.
Yeah, no, it's still anyone's game right now. Just making sure that, as we can finally see, of course, it takes a couple laps, as I said, for the timing tower to come in. And there, as you can see it, Rafael Rodriguez up at the top with a 2:04.13. And surprisingly enough, I think right now the Ferraris are up on top. I see a Ferrari in first, and I believe in second, followed by, I believe, HDDC, Philip Beckenvold, as you can see there on your screen, in a Viper, and then RK in fourth with a Ferrari, and then the lister we're watching right now, Daniel, is in P5 as we see them going a little bit too far inside, but of course times are coming in now. Sarah here in the Lambo representing a massive time boost, gets a 2:04.4, and now we're dropping in. I think we're in the hunt for the 2:03s right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the faster cars that we don't actually have access to with Race Sim Studio, but some of the faster GT1 cars in real life were able to get even 2:01s. I'm not sure if we've seen times that have been that quick, but it is still something we could be seeing if these drivers can really maximise not only the car, but also the track. With there's a lot of space on some of these the exits of these corners that promote what I like to call the NASCAR line. Where you just use up as much space as the track limits allow on the exit, just to maximise the speed coming through the corner. Well, I mean, that's one way of interpreting the NASCAR line as they go rallying out of turn number 7, I believe that was.
Yes,
again, it's very difficult for me to keep count because there are some corners that aren't corners but are counted as corners, and then some things that are definitely corners that aren't counted. So It's another one of those American tracks that confuse me dearly because of their weird way of counting.
Yeah, and again, of course, we can see here, I mean, the top 14 are separated by 2 seconds right now. And so, I mean, it's clear, again, that this is going to be pretty close. Now, right now, Raphael has the upper hand. I mean, 3/10 up on second place, but, I mean, still, you got a bunch of drivers, pretty much the top 4, all in 204s, as we get our first 203.9 from Luke Packer coming in with that Lambo, that Lamborghini just pushing that to the limit. But as we see, as we look back at Raphael just did a purple sector 1, so times are continuing to fall. I think the rubber may be pushing it on track, which is causing the times to drop, and the temperature may be dropping a little bit. So these times are going to continue to creep lower and lower as each driver tries to find some space, room, and maybe a little bit of draft to get ahead.
Yeah, on the track map, a lot of the drivers are actually spaced out a lot more than they used to be. There was kind of this, almost like this snaky thing going on, where a lot of the drivers were very, very close to each other, but they've now spread out a lot more, and we are still watching Rodriguez as they're coming through. I believe this is turn number 11, or is it 12? Again, I lose count very easily. Canada corner through this final tricky sector. They are purple in Sector 1, the set of 43.8 in Sector 2. It's all down to these final couple of corners to see if they can improve their time. They might just be able to get something.
We shall see once they cross the line here. Crosses the line, not quite. He looks like about 500ths off his last best, but it looks like Raphael's going to go again, knowing that they need it. We're going to actually see if we can ride on board with Raphael right now. You can just see how he has to keep control of this car coming through. And remember, there's no traction control here. You can just see how he's sliding, trying to maintain control of the car, and he's already pulling it off to the side. I think he messed up that corner right there, and now he has to try again.
Yeah, I think we could just see he was scrubbing the rear tires a little bit through the corner, kind of almost drifting it through. In some cases, you're driving these things like go-karts with how you have to steer them in and really just use the throttle and the brake to kind of control the angle of the car almost through the corner to try and get as much speed as you can. And ultimately, there are some drivers that are really, really good at doing that. Some of them who even have real-world karting experience, and it does take a really special kind of talent, a very delicate throttle and brake usage to really maximize the performance of these cars, because they are very unpredictable to drive.
Yeah, and going back to your earlier point about using the NASCAR line, it's interesting because you have to take a look at usually what sim we're in. Now, I'm not completely familiar with Assetto Corsa's lap validation, especially for qualifying, but as far as I understand, it's when all wheels are off into a non-paved surface that Assetto Corsa then marks off the lap as invalidated. It differs per sim. Like, I know in iRacing, there are a few points on this circuit where you can go off to some of the curbs, but then there are other times where if you're halfway, like as we just saw Xavier there go off in the grass, that would be considered an off-track. But not necessarily in this case. So you really have to drive, and you have to not only execute your corners and execute your inputs, but you have to understand the game's system and how the off-tracks work and how the invalidation works. And you can clearly see Xavier here, he's lining up to get faster as they go through around the corner, around the ultimate corner here, the final corner, turn 14, to start their lap. Think their tires may be warm and they're off on a flyer. Let's ride on board. Let's try again for the second time, and let's see a lap, pretty quick one through Road America.
I mean, I don't know these corner names, so we're gonna just ride along, braking hard down into turn number 1, using as much of the space as possible. You can see, keeping those right-hand wheels on the curb. Through turn 2 they go, into number 3 again, utilising all of the space on the left-hand side, gently clipping the apex, using as much of the exit as possible. You'll see that's a kind of trend as we come around under the cheese bridge. coming through turn number 4 now. It's a downhill braking zone, so the drivers are going to have to brake really nice and early, just as that grey bit of tarmac appears on the right-hand side, using as much of that space on the right-hand side as possible, keeping all 4 wheels on the curb and not exceeding it in the grass. Into Corvette corner they go now, braking just under the bridge, really just using the slight camber of the corner to their advantage. Through turn 7 they go now, really just using as much space on the track as possible, opening up each of the corners, gentle through turn number 8, keeping 2 wheels inside the white line. Through the carousel they go now, and we're going to have to wait to see when he's going to put the throttle down. And he's picked his moment perfectly, using all of the space on the track. Left-hand wheels gently grazing the curb out of number 10 as we go through kink, using all of the space on the left-hand side, even kicking up a little bit of dirt there. Through the kind of very fast sweeping section they go now, into turn 12, Canada corner, braking very heavy. The brakes glowing a bright orange as they drift the car out the corner, using all of the space available to them through the tricky complex of turns 13 and 14. Into the final corner now they go. It's another heavy braking zone, but just using all that space on the left-hand side. Full throttle on the way to the line. It's an improvement in sector 1. It's a purple sector 2, and what can they do in the third sector to bring their lap time to a 2 minutes 3.2? That was a half a second improvement from the driver currently in first. Our championship leader holds a purple sector 2 and 3 as they go into the wall. I think they might have cooked the tyres on that lap, but I don't blame them. That was a mega lap.
That was an absolute scorcher. I mean, watching that, you can tell how on the limit Xavier is right now, as we are now on with Luke Packer coming through turn 1 there. As you can see, I mean, few of those corners, I think in particular, coming into hurry downs, you can see the counter steering there, just trying to keep the rear end behind the vehicle, and that's one of the primary challenges here. But I want to point out, as far as what I heard, it seemed that Xavier was flat out through the kink. That's incredible, given how much speed you got to come in through there. Maybe he's lifting a tiny bit, but I didn't see it. I didn't hear it in particular on the engine note, so I mean, drivers take notes. Xavier is absolutely flying out there.
I mean, the Aston Martin is the prime example of British engineering, and I might be the most biased commentator in existence, but that Aston Martin has to be one of my favourite cars on the grid. It's not because I'm British, although there is a rumour that when you do come out of the womb, you do have to sign a contract where you have to have unwavering brand loyalty for all British automotive manufacturers. I can say that is not entirely true, because I don't know if everyone likes Jaguar. But we are currently watching the Lamborghini of Packer coming through now, out of the carousel onto that really quick final sector. The Lamborghini ahead of them having to swerve out of the way so as to not get hit. I love the Italian flag on that on the Murcielago there, looking very, very striking. The yellow, I think it's one of the more iconic colours to see on a Lamborghini as we come through these tricky couple of corners. On to number 14. Again, it's kind of a difficult braking zone because the corner almost have to start before it kind of tightens, so you're braking as the corner starts, having to trail it in. It's an improvement in the first and second sector for Packer. Where can they put themselves? That's P1, matching MNU's final sector, beating them by 1/4 of a tenth to a 2 minute 3.213.
My goodness, that is a 200th of a second difference right now, and it looks like, as we see, the top 10 are separated by a second, a little bit more than that, but you can just see how incredible it is. These drivers are just moving out there. Now times are falling ridiculously. It's really going to be who can put in the flyer within the last 10 minutes of the session, as we're actually getting close to that. You going through what we're seeing right now, it appears that everyone's times is improving. I'm seeing green across the board for the majority of the drivers that are out there. Purple's for a couple of them in the top 3, but I want to keep an eye out right now. Luke had 2 personal best sectors in Sector 1 and 2 and matched Xavier's time in Sector 3, both doing a 35.1. So there is still more time to be had. Those 2 drivers are going to be duking it out, I think, until the end.
Yeah, definitely, as we're on board with Fez now. Lister is in the wall, going very, very slowly. The purple Ferrari looking absolutely incredible. I mean, you don't really see Ferrari in any colour other than red or yellow. If they're paid enough, you'll probably see them with some blue and white on them, much to the dismay of lots of fans. Going a little bit wide through turn number 13 as they come in at 14 now, using up all of the space available to them on the entry and the exit there. I don't know if they've improved at all on that lap, because it's greys in the first 2 sectors. It's a 2... well, I think that was actually an outlap there, with a 3:29.7, so they're just about to start a proper flyer now, as they're, again, using up maybe not as much space as some of the other drivers on the exit of that first corner, but, I mean, it's fine margins that a lot of the drivers are having to play with here, so I think Fez maybe just playing it safe, coming through turn 3 underneath the cheese bridge, as they fly kind of down this back straight onto into turn number 4. Again, tricky downhill braking zone. I think we're probably going to see some overtakes here during the race. There's plenty of space for cars to go side by side coming through Corvette Bridge now. Again, it's all about using as much of the track as possible, kind of using the apex to help turn the car a little bit, to hook the car in, and to just keep it going through there, giving a little flash to say hi to the broadcasters. I'm waving back. You can't see me doing it, but I am waving. As we're coming through the carousel now, I'm supposing this is probably named after the Nürburgring Nordschleife carousel. Though I don't know if it has as much. I don't think it has as much camber as the carousel that you'd see over in Germany. Though it is one of those corners where it feels like you're on it for ages, and a lot of drivers really love how challenging it is. It's one of those very, very famous corners that almost kind of defines the track, you'd think, you know, because if you said Road America to someone, I think that's one of the corners they'd definitely be thinking of. Coming through this tricky final sector in the final corner now.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's actually reflected in Road America's logo. If you actually ever get a look at it, there's, I believe, I'm not sure if it's in the A portion, but definitely in the logo of Road America, you can see that little iconic turn. As you can see, yeah, the R in Road America.
Yeah, I believe it is in the R.
Yeah, you just saw there, it is definitely indicative of the carousel. Now, we're following on board. FezFox, an amazing improvement there, actually. He's gone from a 205 to a 204.4 as they're going to pull in. I believe that was Newt in front of him also pulling in and going to try another lap. But surprisingly, RK, which was a huge competitor in the last race, is now down P11, trying to actually catch up right now. It had an improvement in the first sector here. As a matter of fact, looks like one of the fastest on track right now, but hasn't been able to push up their time as they come through the final corner here, turn 14. But, you know, one of the things that you can say about the carousel that it's so iconic is, as a driver, it's one of the few corners where you can take it a lot of different ways and still maximize the exit speed. As we see RK pulling over, improves only a couple positions up to P9, but is not getting the improvements they want. I suspect, as we come into the closing stages here, about 7 minutes to go here in qualifying in Road America, but being on this course and knowing how these corners flow, I mean, the carousel is an iconic spectating spot too. If you have, and you're in that trailer parking area that's on the inside of the carousel, you get to see so many side-by-sides that go through there, and so many passes of people that try and dive in, going into that bridge that leads into the carousel. And it'll be interesting to see once we get to the race if there's going to be heavy defending, because that is a place where if you hit the inside, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get that position. As we're watching Inigo Lopez right now, Suzuka Shark clambers around the corner, coming out of Canada corner into turn 13 and coming in. Can Indigo improve their time? I'm not seeing any improvements on the board for their fast couple of laps or their sectors here, but we shall see. Crosses the line, and no, unfortunately not. Lopez is going to have to try again out there. But given the iconic nature of the track, particularly that corner, it's just interesting to see that the layout hasn't changed. As I think having a little rally moment right there, managed to stop in the grass.
Yeah, I mean, another key point about Road America is a lot of the sims that these drivers are used to. I don't think you see Road America maybe as much as some of the other tracks that are in this calendar. I know that it's definitely available in iRacing, but a lot of our drivers are more used to things like ACC, where Road America is not present. But honestly, I've really missed this track a lot. Last time I remember driving it, I think it was in like Forza Motorsport 4 or something like that. That's kind of my only real memory of this track. I can't remember which Motorsport it was. Might have been 4, might have been a different one. But we are, it's really cool to see cars like this on a track like this, where the layout really hasn't changed at all since 1955 when the track was opened. So it's really cool to just see the amount of it's really cool to see these older cars taking to this track, and I think it just makes it really easy to do historic racing as well, because you know, these even older cars than this raced on this format. You know, you're thinking your Ford Mustangs, your Plymouth Furies. You know, they'll have probably also raced here as well. So, I mean, it's just such a fantastic track. I think every track that's in this calendar has been, expertly picked, just because of how significant the tracks are in the world of racing, as Swingley is drifting through turn number 3 in that black and kind of neon green Ferrari, currently down in P22, 4.3 seconds off, and they've kind of backed out, given the position to that Celine behind. I think that might be Swingley's lap over as we go down to Vossi, who is currently P17, 2.2 seconds off of pole position. P18 now, as they get dropped down by Drift 340, I think that is. Yep. As the Celine is going to be barreling down the main straight, start another flying lap here at Road America. And
you were talking earlier about, the tracks being, masterfully picked due to their significance at the time, especially during these track championships, as Vossi ends up in the sand there over at turn 1, just trying to make sure that they don't run into the wall, as I believe they're going to be restarting their lap. We'll move on over to Damon there as Damon comes around, but as we see Newt go off in the background there. So, as I was coming into the point, back in Road America, you can look at what they still do today. SCCA still does historic track days and races on this circuit, where more than likely those vehicles that they use, which also include the Vipers we see in here, they still race on this circuit today. So it's kind of amazing to see that, even given the ages of these cars, the era in which, these cars that all of our drivers are racing, as we see Damon slide through Canada corner there, they still do it. It's still a thing. If you go down to an SCCA historic event over in Road America, you catch a weekend, you're going to more than likely see these cars out there. And I think that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with a lot of cars like this is they get bought by collectors and they just sit in a showroom not getting used, and you then feel bad for the engineers that have spent hours working to make these cars as excellent as possible, not only to look at but also to drive. And it's historic events like that that really kind of bring that spirit of racing, that show the world why cars like this are meant to be raced. They're not meant to just sit in a showroom and a little wiggle there through turn number 3 puts Warren back in the pit lane as he's going to try and restart his lap.
And I want to point out here, Raphael just finished a lap here, improved their time, but hasn't moved up any positions. Did a 2:03.7 the last time by, and they're looking to improve even further. As so is Luke. I believe we're coming into the closing laps right now. There's a minute left on the clock, and there's about 2 minutes to get around the circuit. And I noticed that Xavier has not left the pit, so I think unless Raphael or Sarah can improve their times here, Luke may have pole position here today, but not if Raphael can say anything about it as he comes through now into the carousel. Matches Luke's time, it looks like, through Sector 1, so it's going to be a matter of how Raphael can get through Sector 2 right now, but he's going to need a lot. 5/10 down off of Luke coming into the kink here, and as we saw, Luke managed, actually it was Xavier that managed to flat out through that corner, and I think Raphael's done the same, as now he's going to come through the kettle bottoms into Canada corner. Now, it doesn't seem like he improved Sector 2. Sector 2 was down a little bit, about half a second away from Luke, which is about the interval Raphael is right now, as you can see, clamoring around turn 13, the penultimate corner, then coming around the final corner, just trying to use as much of that track as he can, going all the way out into the curbs, and then coming through straight as the checkered flag is now waving for qualifying. Will Raphael improve their time? No, it doesn't look like it. I'm not sure if he's going to get another lap, but I think Raphael is going to try. Luke, on the other hand, and as I say that, he spins at turn 1, and that's going to do it for Raphael. So, Sarah is in the pit, so is Philip, and also, surprise note, F-Spirit, out of nowhere, because last time I saw, the timing tower was really low, comes now, was in 6th, goes up to 4th place, where he needed to, and now is up with a 2:03.8, and will be starting, it looks like, 4th place, as he also spins out of turn 1 to reset. And now we are waiting for the rest of the field to come through. I think right now Daniel is coming through with that beautiful yellow Lister Storm coming around the corner there. I believe that's Canada corner. And so trying to improve their time as well with a 2:04.7. Looks like they had a green Sector 2, but is matching currently everybody else's time. Is again clambering around that turn 13 corner. It's dangerous, because if you take too much of that curve, you can run wide, and I think that's what happened, because now Daniel is abandoning the lap, so that's going to put Daniel in P13. I think right now Parker is coming around the corner now. It's like, look at how much curve used there. Hopefully that's within track limits. I don't think it was invalidated, but I don't know if this is going to be improvement. Parker crosses the line, was a 2:05.8, and does a 2:05.9, so they will not be moving up on the leaderboard. And then, of course, finally, Luke, who's already secured pole position, is coming around on another flyer, it looks like. Had a purple Sector 1, a green Sector 2, so can we see a 2:02 here today? No, not quite. I think they did not have it in them. It looks like they were trying to do one more lap, but unfortunately, that's going to do it. I think that was an actual outlap, but was actually flying through that. So I believe that is actually going to be your grid for today, as Luke manages to make it to P1, followed by Xavier in P2, Raphael in P3, F-Spirit with a last-minute effort to get to P4, and then Sarah rounding out your top 5 there. What an amazing end to that qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely nail-biting stuff. And we've had 2 new drivers that have come in this round that I can recognise, with Adam Bent down in P23, driving the Gulf liveried Aston Martin, and up in P7 is Aidan Larson, who has also recently joined the series. I believe he's come in a Celine, bright orange Celine. So it's cool to see some new drivers joining the grid, and I'm really excited to see how they can shake up the grid as we are going to move forward into the race shortly.
Yeah, no, and so as we wait for the session to end. It's going to take a little bit of time as the organizers there and the server gets ready for the race today. But to go over the field right now, in P1, of course, Luke with an amazing 203.2, followed by Xavier in P2 with only 0.02 of a second difference between P1 and P2 with a 203.23. And Raphael in P3 with a 203.7, followed by F-Spirit, then Sarah. Then rounding out your top 10, you have HDDC with, I believe, was a 203.9 in P6, Aiden in P7, and then Newt in P8, followed by FezFox in P9. And one thing to watch out for, the fight between FezFox and RK, which was heating up in the last race. RK right behind Fez, starting at P10. Jacob then P11, Katie in P12, followed by Daniel in P13 in their lister. Then followed by Sad Ket in P14, then Suzuka Shark, Indigo Lopez in P15. Drift 340 rounding out outside of the P15 right now in P16. Then Damien in P17, followed by Vossi, Sarah, and Parker, rounding out 18th, 19th, and 20th, respectively. Then coming down to the back of the grid, Skylar, rounding in P21. Then Adam Norhelm with P22 there, with the respectable 206.5. Adam Bent right behind in P23, followed by Jesper Swingley with a 207.5 in P24. Shay in 25th. Thomas in 26th, and then rounding out is Mastone Dreamer in P27. And that is your starting grid here today for today's race at Road America.
Yeah, 27 drivers on the grid, and at such a tight track. I mean, there are going to be some real overtaking opportunities. And a lot of these heavy braking zones, I say we should probably be looking for some potential moves in at turn 1 and turn 14, obviously. Very fast sections into heavy braking zones. I mean, that basically just spells overtake on a golden invitation. Turn number 3, another potential for an overtake. Out of the Moraine sweep into turn number 5. Could see some overtakes happening there. As you'd said, some side-by-side moments through Carousel have definitely been seen before. So we could potentially see some overtakes through there. I think that with corners like the Canada corner, probably could see some overtaking. If a driver can get a really good exit out of Carousel, run their car down and just keep it as close as they can to the leading car, the leading pack, they'd be able to make an overtake into Canada corner. So as a round off, look out for action turns 1, 3, 5, 9, 12, and 14. I think they're going to be our key action zones for the race today.
Yeah, I think so. And let's look back real quick at our standings here, particularly the top. I mean, Xavier now in P2, but the surprise is, I think, RK. You can see, I mean, RK was so close to winning the last one. As a matter of fact, was gotten past Tyler at the end of the last round in Silverstone with that 3-way battle, but now is starting at P10. So RK is going to have to get a lot, has to push a lot to keep that run going, as Xavier is starting in P2. So that may give Xavier a boost given everything that's going on. But of course, the big winner is Luke right now in the pole, getting his first pole of the championship here. And it's going to be exciting to see where this championship shakes up. I mean, all top 10 drivers here right now with, I think, with the exception of Drift, and I believe Damon, no, Damon's P11 in the championship field, but I think with the exception of Drift, they're all in the top 10. I believe Tyler is not here today, though. So
yeah, Tyler not present today, so that'll not be very good for their championship.
They're getting ready with the lights on now. We're going to take a look as we get ready to start here today. Here they go. And we are off. They are starting up, and it looks like someone got a huge start in the back there. Whoa! Amazing. And there's a huge crash right behind. The field is crazy. Absolute pileup, as I think 10, 11 cars are all stuck there. A massive incident.
Like this.
Yeah, a massive incident in the start, and I think everyone's going to get forward. Thankfully, there is no damage on, but oh, I wish we had instant replay. That was a massive, massive incident at the start of this race.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea what happened. It was like barreling down.
I think the biggest winner is Sarah. Sarah managed to jump, I think, 5 positions at the start. Just ran through everyone, it looks like. It seems like everyone was caught napping, and Sarah got a huge jump, and now with that, he's 2 seconds up on the leaders. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Sarah started in P5 and just jumped 2 entire rows at the start.
I have no idea what just
And there's another incident happening over toward that corner.
Car was sideways.
I think that's Bossy right now. Oh, into, I believe, with Khan in the back. There's another incident right behind, rejoining. Just massive crashes all over. And I think they're going to continue on, but oh my goodness, 2 major incidents. We haven't even made it to the carousel.
I would be surprised if they didn't red flag this. I mean, I know that the damage is off, but like, Jesus, man. I've not seen a crash that bad since that one Formula 1 race that I've forgotten where it was at. But you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes, no, and I think I haven't seen something that bad except, oh, goodness, Adams trying to make a move over. I think that was Parker Olsen right now as they're trying to push through, gaining a position. I can't even keep up. Xavier dropped to P6. Sarah is now P1. Raphael gained a position at P1. But the biggest loser is F-Spirit, dropped all the way down to P18 from that incident. I think it might have been something with that front row, or maybe somebody stalled or didn't move, and it was just a chain reaction. But what an incredible scene to behold.
Yeah, that's one of the words for it. I mean, I'm absolutely speechless as we're watching the White Viper go for a move in a straight line on that Celine, the extra 2 cylinders in that piece of American muscle, just outperforming that Celine on that kind of straight. I think it's cars like the Viper that really do promote having that power. I mean, all these cars are really, really powerful. We've had a balance of performance to try and keep things as equal as possible. But cars that kind of promote that power more are going to have a bit of an advantage, as Northerling's now looking for a little bit of a move on Newt, going alongside, coming in at turn number 4. Newt leaves a space on the outside, defending the inside line. Northerling has the better kind of run through the corner. They are getting all the way in that Ferrari's mirrors as they come up to turn 6. Really just trying to hound them for that position, but they are... I mean, Newt is not budging, despite how much Norhalim is pushing. Never mind. I think he's in the barriers.
I think Newt's in the barriers there. Oh, and then I think that's Jesper Swingley also in the barriers there, back there, coming out of, I believe that's Harry Downs, going into Harry Downs. But then also, as we were seeing up ahead, I mean, we were watching Adam Bent there as well, as F-Spirit is trying to make their way down. Bent lost a couple positions, and Newt is now... I think an even bigger loser, starting at P8 and is continuing to fall down the order. Now in P22, losing an unfortunate, looks like 14 positions from the start. But I have to say, as we pop ahead right now, RK and F-Spirit now fighting. No, sorry, that's RK and Adam Bed, but he's coming into F-Spirit. F-Spirit gets a little squirrely coming out of, I believe, Canada corner, and RK making a little bit of contact, trying to keep it together. I can't really emphasize enough how much action is going on this track right now, with everyone pretty much in different places from where they started. Now everyone's just playing catch-up or defense, and now it's going to see who can either make the most recovery drive or who can make the best of a bad situation. And I have to say, Sarah up there out in front is making a massive push from just 2 laps in, now 2 seconds ahead from Raphael from that incredible start in the beginning.
Yeah, when the fastest lap of the race as well so far, 2 minute 5.0. Just being very, very consistent, keeping their nose clean in the number 34 orange and black, or black and orange, I should say. Lamborghini leading the way from Rafael Rodriguez in second place, chasing them down the gap around 2.6 seconds. But, I mean, ultimately gained so much at the start.
Someone on the dirt there, looks like on the exit of, is that Skylar? No, that's Aiden. That's Aiden on the exit of, I believe that's turn 5 there. Looks like had a moment coming out, now is falling down the order. It seems like Aiden was P7, is now 17, 18, 19, P20, as they finally managed to rejoin the track, and that's just the brutalness of these cars. They're so hard to control on the limit once you get there, that one little mistake can have you falling from P7 to P20, and in one corner, you've lost 13 positions.
Yeah, really unfortunate from Aiden Larson here. I mean, once you get off the track and the tyres are dirty, the lack of traction control really does show, because not only do you have to deal with having the low traction from, you know, having really powerful engine, maybe not as great tyres, but also from getting them dirty, so you might need to do a little bit of weaving to clear that dirt off the tyres if it hasn't gone off already by the time he exits carousel. But he's going to be doing his charge up the grid as he goes lawn mowing a little bit at turn 11.
And as we switch over here, I mean, we just saw F-Spirit pass Indigo now. It's nuts. I think F-Spirit is on a charge. Remember, F-Spirit dropped down to, I believe, P17, is now up, looks like 5 positions, now P13, looking to make a move on Adam now, is now P12, coming across the line. So, I mean, F-Spirit, you have to give him credit, the spirit, no pun intended, of his drive, as he's just trying to recover all that they can.
Yeah, I mean, going from that far up and then dropping that many positions at the start because of getting caught up in an incident as they go over the curb at turn number 1, into the wall they go. Not what you want to be seeing here. That is an absolute shame from F-Spirit, and he's going to have to try and climb back up the order again with just about 52 minutes left on the racetrack, reversing to try and not take up as much space. I think if they'd rejoined any less safely, we could have seen another huge crash. I'm amazed that this hadn't been red flagged, but F-Spirit is now going to have to climb back up through the order as Vossi's now making a move. Coming in at turn number 5 on the inside of that Ferrari.
Ooh.
Gets a little bit unsettled on the curb, gets into the wall. That is unfortunate from Vossi.
Oh, goodness gracious. The passing is tough, it looks like, right now, as we now switch to HDDBC as he makes a move on Jacob, as Jacob makes a mistake coming into the carousel, and this is exactly what you need to do. You got to capitalize on the mistakes when you see him. Jacob right behind, not wanting to give much on that Viper. We're going to go on board with Jacob to see if they can make a move, but yeah, that's exactly what you don't want to do, as Jacob looks like just misses the apex. Is going to lose a little bit more time coming into, I believe, Kettle Bottoms here, rounding into Canada Corners. Yeah, people are moving everywhere right now, and I think someone down there is also falling in the order. I think Parker lost a couple positions. No, I think it's Katie? Indigo. Oh, yes, Indigo. 3-way fight between Indigo, Katie, and Robbie. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. There's just so much going on right here, but we're going to take a look. This 3-way battle for P11, as I think they are also catching up to Sad Cat in P10, so this could ultimately be a P10 fight. But Arcade looking inside, outside the mirrors of Indigo right now, trying whatever they can to try and get by. And I think Arcade has the draft here, might be able to make the move into turn 1 if they could just come over the crest here onto the start-finish line and then grab the inside. Will Indigo defend? Will Suzuka defend the inside? Looks like he's staying out. So Arcade filling up the mirrors and looks like he's making the move. And Indigo thinking better of it. Yeah, just backs off, lets Arcade through, because Arcade is just absolutely flying.
Yeah, before the corner was even made, I mean, RK managed to get past using that slipstream advantage and just opened up that Ferrari, stuck it up the inside, and absolutely nailed that move into turn 1. Very, very, very well done move from RK there, as Suzuka's going to continue trying to chase down that bright red Ferrari, but that fight has opened up that gap to Katie a little bit more, to about 1.5 seconds as they now come up to Corvette corner.
As we pull on back right now, Drift 340 side by side with Parker as they come up through Corvette. This is a very tricky overtaking spot because of coming over the crest, but I think Drift was looking for an over-under, could not make it work, but backs off a little bit, but will have another opportunity coming into the carousel right now, as I believe something happened with Xavier. Xavier's off the track right now and is losing positions. Looks like he was coming through was that Hurry Downs, out of Hurry Downs, and into the carousel, loses control of the vehicle and spins into the grass of the carousel, losing even more positions. This was your starting P2 position here, ladies and gentlemen, and just like most of the field right now, just making one little mistake, and now it has to go through a huge recovery drive to try and get back where they started.
Yeah, really unfortunate to see from our championship leader as, well, we've got another driver who's rejoining the track, as that's Vossi out of the carousel, having a bit of an incident there.
I think the theme right now is caught out. A lot of these drivers, I think, with the laps that they were putting in, a lot of hot laps, you know, it's one thing to get around this track fast with these cars, but it's another thing to race them entirely, especially given how difficult it is to maintain any sort of slip angle in these vehicles that will help make you fast. As we saw multiple times already, as these cars clamber over corners, as we see, Parker trying a dive after getting past, manages to catch him, but Drift 340 with an over-under here, coming into turns 2 and 3, going to more range sweep, but can't actually dive. It looks like Olsen broke a little later and is going to have to fight for that position back. But going back into, what we're seeing a lot of these drivers, I mean, aside from Sarah, who it seems to have caught everyone unawares, and I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. You're racing side by side in these cars. You're not necessarily, completely tuned with how the car is going to work offline. And a lot of the drivers we're seeing here is just those little mistakes get exasperated when you make a little input error, when you clamber over the corner too much, if you turn in just a little too much, and that drops you from P2 to P19.
Yeah, like I said, this track is unforgiving with just how tight it is on a lot of these corners, and the lack of runoff at a lot of the corners where we're seeing these drivers kind of make these mistakes. It's one of those more traditional tracks that you'd expect to see that just has grass and gravel either side, so really punishing the drivers that make a mistake. And it's one of those tracks where you really have to respect the track, especially if you want any respect back from it, much like a lot of other trickier, more historic tracks like the Nordschleife. You've really just got to be absolutely precise as Olsen slides through Canada Corner, gets thankfully corrected by Drift 340, who ultimately gains from that. And I mean, I'd say that's a very gentlemanly thing to do, but I think in real life, I think both of them would have been out of the race, as we're now watching Sierra battling with Skylar.
Yeah, this is about to become I think, four-way fight, as we see Ket and Katie right behind as they go side by side. That's going to lose so much momentum, but Skylar goes super wide. It looks like Ket had to dive emergency out of the way. That's going to let Katie slide in, hits a little bit of the grass, locks up, manages to somehow keep it on the track without hitting anybody, and now it's a three-way battle for 8.
Yeah, this is an absolutely mad battle. Sierra's kind of pulled a little bit from him. Don't count them out just yet, though, as Ket in the American flag liveried Celine getting shuffled to the outside by Katie. Skylar off the track, the American flag Celine locking up a little bit. Skylar loses that position, I think, to Ket, who is going to be following the Lamborghini with intent, trying to get them out of the way as fast as possible. The two cars that are brandished with a flag of the country they originate from, as Katie makes a quick move up to the inside of Sierra, bundles them a little bit wide. Sierra gets spun round, spins out Ket, and I think that collects Sierra as well. So that has really dropped them a couple of positions. The ultimate person to gain from that is Katie, who now has a pretty decent gap to P8 behind. And as well as that, Suzuka, who's managed to climb up into P10. You can see just exiting the screen, as Sierra is now going to have to climb back up from P13 in an attempt to get some more points.
There's another huge gainer in that. RK was right behind that entire group and has now jumped from P11 to P8. Now, know this, RK started P10 and got involved in the incident in the beginning. Within 15 minutes, has managed to claw their way back, not only in the top 10, but further ahead than where they started. So Arcade on an absolute charge right now, but their main target right now is going to be Katie, and Katie is also on flyers. Katie in the last lap was a 2:05.6, and the only person that did a faster lap than that was Raphael up in P2. So Arcade is going to have to put the hammer down if he wants to get up even further.
Yeah, definitely. And let's also not forget, fastest lap of the race currently does belong to Sarah, who's in P1. The only person to be down in the 204s with a 4.984. It's Wushel currently leading the way as Shay Khan is really looking for a move on Aiden Larson as they're coming into the first corner. He's looking at the inside. Larson is not blinking as Murcielago really tries for that move. Can't make it work. Uses the real NASCAR line that only the true American patriots know, as they are currently slipstreaming Larson, trying to make a move down this curve, getting a little bit slidey out of that corner. Vossi is really seeming a struggle now. Is that Vossi? I can't actually
Is that
tell.
No, I think the one in front, I mean, Aiden's there. Vossi is, I think, a little bit higher up, and then behind there, I think, is that
I think that was Mastone, actually.
Yeah, I think
yes.
that was Mastone. Oh,
Well,
meanwhile,
we've had a disconnect.
I think we had a disconnect. Yeah, I see. I believe, was that Daniel?
No, that was Wareham, I think.
that-
That was Azure Goat who
yeah,
was
that was.
had a disconnect.
Oh, goodness gracious. And so that's going to allow the majority of the order here to move up a position as well. So not only do we have huge instances to shuffle the order, we have hardware and network connection issues as well. Oh, what a data race.
Yeah, I mean, Road America, I thought Silverstone was going to be the most insane race I'd be commentating all year. I think this is just a different flavour of insane, to be honest, compared to Silverstone. A different kind of action that we're seeing. Lots and lots of crashes. As we also have another disconnect from Newt, who's also seeming to struggle. They've had a few internet issues with the server, so that is Newt also, I think, out of the race.
Oh, and
due to hardware failure.
Newt was in title contention as well up there. As you saw, he was top 10 in the title and was top 10 in the race, and now they're out as well. So, I mean, we have drivers with unfortunate disconnect issues, and that would allow other people to jump in to title contention. And of course, F-Spirit here also on a massive charge, trying to get further up, as we saw multiple incidents. But you gotta give F-Spirit credit, not giving up, not letting it get to them, doing their best to continue. As we move up now and we watch Xavier right now coming into a three-way battle, going side by side with Adam, trying not to make contact, coming through just barely, but manages to keep it together, just trying to follow along, make sure that they don't run into them. But of course, Xavier, it looks like 3 seconds faster than both of the cars ahead as a front row seat, but Xavier doesn't want to be behind them for very long. Xavier wants to get by them now, as we see them trying to hold the inside line as they might go 3 wide into Corvette corner. No, Xavier thinks better of it, and now both Adam Bent and Adam Norhelim are both together, as now it looks like F-Spirit wants to get into the fight, but so does Sad Cat from behind. Now Xavier, frustrated, wants to move up, and Cat trying to take advantage. Will Xavier be able to make the move into the carousel? We know he has the pace. We know he has the speed. Oh, maybe a little too eager as he slides right out there, leaving the gate open for Cat. Oh, but barely manages to hang on. And Xavier's right behind Brent now, who loses a position to Norhelim, and now goes side by side with the other Adam there, trying to make a move. And this is a tricky one into the kink. You lose so much speed. You come out here, go super wide, hits the raw, into the wall, and I think that was also Cat into the wall as well. And then that's going to allow F-Spirit to go by, Bossy to go by, Aiden right behind to go by. Oh my goodness, and we don't even have time to look at that as we come back over to Daniel trying to keep over to Xavier's. But again, as we saw, it's just the little mistakes that get exponentially exacerbated. Just one wrong move coming into a corner and you take yourself out and somebody else.
Yeah, as Norhelim does go a little bit wide, that's going to ruin their momentum coming down the back straight. Not as much power being able to put down as the Aston Martin on the right-hand side, with the Lister on the left side of the track. The Aston is really trying to make his mark, but he has to tuck back into the slipstream of the V12 powered Lister Storm. Normally, off the track, and also off goes Tabana with F-Spirit parting the Red Sea and making their way up into P14.
Oh, looks like Vossi almost ran into the end of Adam there, trying to get out of the way after recovering. Oh, Vossi almost ran right into the back of Adam coming into, I believe that was turn 3, going to Morin sweep, but it manages to keep it together, keep it on track. And I mean, now we have Ket here, after falling back from that incident from Sheikhan trying to make a move. We just have ketchup after ketchup after ketchup. Someone get me some fries here so I can eat.
That was awful. I just want you to know that was horrendous. As Ket looks for a move around the outside, a little bit squirrely on the exit. Still has that room on the outside, very sportsmanlike from Sheikhan. Ultimately, he knows that move probably isn't going to be made there. Sadcat does go for a bit of an over-under, maybe knowing that the move can't be made at these few corners, but we could be seeing something at the carousel. Again, a bit of a wobble on the exit, but just able to keep it together, using all of the space coming through turn number 8 as we go now into the carousel. The Lamborghini looking a little bit slow, kept using a lot more room on the left-hand side, maybe trying to also just get as much momentum as possible as we see a Lamborghini off ahead. I think that is Schwartz at the moment, and Ket does go off, cutting the grass a little bit at...
and that's F-Spirit up ahead, I think. Was that F-Spirit? No, I think there was a lap car ahead. F-Spirit had an incident, slowed down a lot, but as we can see coming in, just barely managed to hang onto the car there. You see Sad Cat coming out of Canada corner right there, almost loses the rear end again, but so does Shay up in front, going really slow, coming out of the penultimate corner, and now goes super wide, going into the straight. This is going to allow Sad Cat with so much momentum to get alongside, but can Cat finish the move?
I believe this is a lapped car that they're actually fighting with here with Schwartz, I think, who is a P23.
Oh, yeah, that is Schwartz. Yeah, no, there you go.
Sheikhan's really made a pretty big gap.
Yeah, that's Cat up in front. Oh, makes contact with the Schwartz, makes contact with Sad Cat as they're coming through, and while all this action is happening, F-Spirit is taken to the first pit, I think just trying to lessen the bleeding as much as they can after that other incident. We didn't get to look at it, was off screen, but yes, now the pits are open. After everything that has happened, we still have pits to run. So there is still strategy involved here, even after all the carnage. I'm running out of air. My throat's getting dry real fast.
Yeah, I think after 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes, the main strategy is just to survive, I think. And in this 20 minutes, it's going to be about when do you pit? And the final 20 minutes will probably be surviving again. But given the varying tyre compounds, different cars, it does throw another element of strategy into the air as of what car can really compete on which tyre. Adding all of that together, I think a lot of our drivers are going to end up having very different pit windows, pit cycles, and we might end up seeing a bit more of a spread out grid towards the end of this race, but it has been non-stop chaos and action all the way throughout, as we're watching Vossi in P14 with a little battle with a bright orange Celine behind them of Aidan Larson. The Australian driver really just trying to maximise the amount of space that he has on the track, trying to grab the slipstream from Vossi. About 3/10 is the gap between the two. And that gap is going to probably close a little bit more on the straight. These cars are basically identical except for maybe a few small tweaks to setup, and even with that the slipstream, looks like Larson didn't really make up much of a gap. You can see just how much the cars do struggle over the curbs, but you really need to use a lot of it as he nearly goes into the back of Vossi, who does have a bit of a wobble on the exit of turn number 3. Under the Sargento Bridge they go now. Again, Larson is still behind Vossi, really piling on that pressure. Maybe looking for a little bit of a move coming into turn number 5, gets in the mirrors, ultimately uses a little bit more space on the entry to try and open up the exit a little bit more. barely gets onto the grass coming up Corvette now. Larson is just carefully following behind. He's going to be waiting for his moment to pounce, waiting to pick his moment and just stick that sling past.
Immediately behind them, Daniel and Shay are going at it right now. They were side by side through Corvette, which is absolutely amazing, and Daniel making the better move as Adam has to stick back from behind. I mean, the battles are just fluid right behind, and I think the key is who has managed their rear tires the best. One of the things I've seen from all the cars here is there's just so much pushing that there's a lot of sliding going on, really massive slip angle. And what happens is when you do that in these cars, the rear tires get very hot and they cannot hold their grip. So you can't go as fast through the corner as you want to without sliding, which then compounds the problem and makes it even worse. So what we're seeing right now, I believe, is drivers that manage to stay in the back for a little bit that manage their rear tires a little better. And now looks like they're just trying to make the move without sacrificing their race even more and their tires even more, as we are around, I believe, 3 minutes to the halfway point of this race. Can you believe that we're not even at the halfway point yet?
Yeah, it's been an absolutely insane race, and I don't know where the time has gone. I mean, they always say time flies when you're having fun, but I'd say it flies even faster watching this race at Road America, as it looks like Taberner has made a move on Ket, who has maybe gone at the pit. Oh, no, actually, that's Nohalim who's come into the pit lane. I think he's our first of our drivers to pit alongside F-Spirit and Bent. All these other drivers are maybe going a little bit long, and as we'd said earlier, the rear tyres are going to be a pretty big problem here. Again, the lack of traction control really does put a lot more wear on the rear tyres, because the drivers are going to have to be really, really careful to make the cars not slide out of the corners. I mean, they're going to end up sliding a little bit, obviously, but it's just that amount of care that each of these drivers are going to have to try and maintain the tyres. As well as that, there's also the lack of anti-lock brakes, which could result in overheating the front tyres and could potentially end up with flat spots, which can cause some losses of grip through the corners, especially on turn-in. I think the rear tyre wear is more of a problem when the drivers are looking to exit the corners. So it really is just a delicate balance of trying to maintain that pace, but also making sure that pace isn't turning your tyres into mush. As we are still seeing Larson just falling behind Vossi, really piling the pressure on. Been doing this for a couple laps now, and I think it's only going to be a matter of time before Larson can make that move. If Vossi does make that mistake, Larson will be immediately jumping on the opportunity to try and make that overtake.
Yeah, and as you can take a look at the timing tower now on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, we can see what has been thrown pretty much out the window as Aiden comes into pit. But the biggest winner right now is Skylar Vixen with 12 positions up from the start. I mean, Skylar started at P21 and is now running in the top 10. But I think as far as the championship goes, the biggest winner in the current state of affairs is Sarah. After that start, after pretty much jumping everyone, catching everyone unawares, Sarah has been slowly clawing their way away from the field, slowly walking away from them. And this is going to be huge for the championship, given that a couple of the major players, particularly our championship leader right now, Xavier, is wailing over in P12.
Yeah, with RK in P7 as well. This is going to shake up the championship a fair amount, as we are just about to cross that halfway point. Things are going to get real exciting real fast, and I for one am very excited to see how the final half of this race develops. The gap between Sarah and Rodriguez behind opening up to about 5 seconds, as I think they're actually coming up to Larson, who is technically a lapped car, though they have actually pitted, so might have to make way for the Lamborghini behind.
Yeah, and I think right now, I just saw Luke pulled into the pit, so I think Luke may be trying an undercut strategy. We shall see if it works out as we hit the halfway point. We have now finally gotten through half of this race. And so we're finally, we can finally see the home stretch. I mean, a lot can still happen, but Sarah is just, Sarah is inching that gap further and further. There's about 5 seconds around there ahead of Raphael. And I still can't get over how that start turned out. I mean, aside from the massive pileup that was right behind, I think, P7, that start in and of itself was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the more interesting race starts I have seen. It's been... I think there are going to be some words that are thrown around after the race, but you know, as the main, as one of the commentators here, and sometimes one of the racers, I think the main thing to remember is, at the end of the day, we're driving pretend cars in a circle for a little bit of fun with people that we enjoy racing with, and you know, the cars aren't real, the racing is, so are the nerves and the adrenaline. So you know, just as a little reminder, we're just gonna try and keep it nice, keep it safe, and just remember, this is it's pixels on a screen. Like, you know, the racing, don't get me wrong, absolutely fantastic, and things can get really frustrating at times, but I think the drivers do just need to remember this is only a sim, and had any of this happened in real life, there would be millions of dollars worth of damages and probably hospital bills.
And probably a red flag, too. All honesty.
100%.
That
100%.
start in any race organization that I know, there would not be a, okay, we're just going to keep going. I mean, that's one of the beauties of, you know, the sim racing, which, you know, you just have to kind of admire. It's, you can continue to race where in any other point, imagine that, right? You go through a weekend as a real driver. You've done hours of practice, right? You got through the practice session. You went through qualifying, right? Everything's all good. And within 20 seconds of the green flag flying, you are out, along with 17 other drivers.
Yeah, half the grid I don't think would have been finishing this race, but due to the absolute glory that is Assetto Corsa and the magic that is simulation software, we don't need to worry about damage. So all these drivers are probably only going to be finishing this race with bruised ego and a bit of a bad temper. But we're going to watch as Luke Packer is going to be fighting their way up the grid. I think they are the highest placed driver that has pitted with about a 72-second interval to the leader. They are going to be trying to fight their way through the grid as much as they can. I think they were hoping they could get into some clean air, and with Sierra Thomas just ahead of them by about 7/10, it could be a bit of a tight one, as the Lamborghini in the lead is going to continue to push pretty hard to try and open up that gap, pull into the pit lane as late as possible so that they can go for a full push. Again, a lot of the grid are actually on medium tyres that are pretty old at this point. The only drivers who aren't on medium tyres have pitted, except for Skylar, who is on the hards, currently up in P6. Every other driver that is really in contention with some really, really good points ready to score are on medium tyres, and a lot of them haven't actually pitted yet, so I'm excited to see how the order might shake up once the pit cycle ends in about 6 minutes' time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they pitted earlier, but I'm seeing Drift 340 has actually taken a pit stop, although I don't know if that was within the window. If it was in the window, then that means Drift has had a massive jump in positions, as we see Luke finally getting around. I believe that was Sierra and I think the lapped Lamborghini of Thomas Schwartz there. But I'm not sure. Did we see Drift pit earlier before the window, or was that during the window?
If he has pitted, it's before the window, but I don't think he's actually pitted at all. I think he's still out there. We've got Katie, we've got Skylar, and we've got Suzuka, who've all pulled into the pit lane. So Drift 340 still yet to pit. as are any of our top 3 drivers. We're going to see a lot more of them coming at the pit lane. We've got about 5 minutes left of the pit window. So all the drivers that haven't pitted yet, we're looking at Ket, we're looking at Khan, we're looking at Wushel, Rodriguez, Rostkovsky, and Sierra Thomas. Packer has, of course, done their stop, and with a 75-second deficit to the lead, they're going to try and make that up as quick as they possibly can.
Yeah, and as we jump on board with Xavier here, just trying to move forward, making that stop work right behind Olsen. This is for position now. Parker has pitted already and has come out into the pit window, so this would be for position there. As we see Indigo Lopez coming up now right behind Xavier, so the last of them are coming out now. I think the biggest question mark is going to be, will the undercut pay off for Luke? Luke was behind, I believe, Raphael at that start when they pitted. Luke was the first one out of the top 3 that pitted early. And so, you know, Luke currently a little bit further back from the leader right now. I think it's going to be if they gain any time on it. But Raphael is falling even further and further back. If Raphael was going to do an undercut strategy, I think it's out the window at this point, as they're only going to have, I believe, one other lap before they have to pit. As a matter of fact, I don't think they're going to have time to do that. So I believe both Sarah and Raphael should be pitting in this lap, as well as Jacob, who's in P3, as we see Drift 340 and P4 pitting in as well. We're also watching Xavier right now getting inching closer and closer to Parker on your screens right now as we discuss the current pit strategies. But yeah, I think they're going to pit in. I see that right now Sarah and Raphael are heading into the carousel. So they might have time as, whoa, and we see Xavier right now go really wide, taking that trademark NASCAR line coming through the kink. I wouldn't necessarily take that risk, but, you know, Xavier just trying to get by. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, he's getting a bit impatient now. I think we can see him flashing the all-black Celine in front of him, really just saying, hey, look, I'm the faster guy here, just get out of my way, as he's looking for a bit of a switchback on the exit of the final corner, using a bit of a wider line on entry to try and maximise the speed on the exit, as we're seeing Suzuka just in the back of frame, making that overtake.
Yeah, and there is Sarah.
Wushel is in the pit lane.
Yeah, Sarah Wushel is in the pit lane, and then I believe that's also going to mean Raphael is going to come in as well. Yeah, so Raphael is going to stay where they are. They're not going to be able to think. I don't think they're going to be able to get Wushel in the pits here. So Wushel in a strong position to come through here. The question remains, can Luke get around? I don't think so. Luke's in the carousel right now, pretty far back. I think a whole minute out from where the pit is. So I think Sarah Wushel might have this just through pits. Now, there's still going to be 20 minutes to go, and a lot can happen. But, yeah, Sarah moving now out of the pits with Luke, I think, just managing to round, I think, Canada corner coming out of there. So that means Sarah right now with a massive advantage coming out, as I believe Raphael's still in the pits.
I think it's a slow stop for him.
Yeah, I think it's a slow stop. Didn't manage to get out in time. I mean, it's almost 20 seconds. And I think, yeah, that's going to push him even further back now with even more time lost. I think that's around 20 seconds now. Sarah's up ahead. I wonder if they took more fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem like Rodriguez currently 19 seconds off of the lead. I mean, there's still a lot of battles happening up and down the track. There's nearly, I think, a four-way fight for P9, as we see Sierra now getting involved, looking around the outside of MNU. I mean, Olsen's been defending this position for so long that the bright yellow Celine of Sierra has decided to get involved, and Suzuka is also given a little sniff. The shark can smell its prey, and they're looking to try and make that move happen. Things are getting hectic now.
Yeah, as you can see, they're just a little jink out of Sierra's line, and just like that, I wonder what happened. Xavier got a horrible launch out of the straight because Xavier's now losing
two moves in
two
one.
moves. Yes, it's looking like pulling in. Indigo with the great move there, going through Sierra and now side by side with Xavier, but has to pull back. What I think
just loses out on that position
out,
there.
But that was what looked like. It seemed like a standard corner exit from Xavier, but just lost all momentum coming over the crest.
Yeah, I mean, the Aston has had a really big balance of performance update with even more weight added as Suzuka nearly goes over the grass in the braking zone, which is definitely not something you want to do. Looking around the outside into turn number 7 coming into the Corvette corner, and the Aston Martin just has a tuck in behind. A fantastic move from Suzuka as Oily is now looking to try and make that move in that Lister. Really just hounding him for position. All these drivers are on the medium tyres, brand new after the pit stop. MNU basically pushing Suzuka through the corner as we come now into the carousel. This is becoming a very, very hectic fight as Olsen has now pulled away a nearly 2-second gap between P9 and P10. But with Oily and Sierra both looking to get involved in this fight, we might be seeing our championship leader lose even more positions and, more importantly, championship points. They are looking for a move around the outside, which will then become the inside for Canada corner, very, very deep on the inside as Suzuka tries to hold the line with a little bit more momentum. They look to be still side by side, but MNU's just managed to make that move past into P10. It's been a really solid battle between these two drivers as Oily's still looking for that move, now chasing down Suzuka, the team boss, in that Lister, with being that close on this back straight in a car with this much power. I mean, it's just a matter of time before they pull to the right hand side, going side by side into the first corner, and he's made that move before the corner even happens. That is Oily up into P11.
I mean, give and take. We saw Inigo Suzuka go from P12 to P10 and now back to P12. That's how crazy it is here right now. The margin for error is so small for any of these drivers, and the ones that come out on top are the ones that keep it clean, and Oily's just a perfect example of that. But now Oily's going to have to both defend from Suzuka, that team boss, and try and catch up with Xavier. Xavier just took advantage of that situation, which is what you need to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the amount of time that we've seen a lot of these drivers losing this fight, I mean, Olsen, they've got about 1.5 seconds in the bank between themselves and the chasing Aston Martin behind. This is a very kind of back and forth thing. You're seeing some drivers that gain a lot through the corners, some of them that gain a lot through the straights. So it's really just about trying to maximise everywhere, wherever you can, and just trying to reach that compromise where not only will you be able to either not to lose, well, to be able to gain a lot in one part of the track and not lose too much in the other. It's about finding that right balance between straight line speed and downforce as we're on board now with the Aston Martin, who's looking for a move on the outside of the Celine, coming into Canada corner, the line with a little bit more momentum, taking that NASCAR line, getting shuffled out wide by the Celine. As they go right, they go left, and the Aston Martin just has to back out of that. Olsen cutting across, just able to defend, but I mean, MNU's not going to be giving up anytime soon, using all of the space available to them, slipstreaming that Celine down the back straight. I mean, even with all of the added weight and the power restrictor that the Aston Martin has, MNU is still looking for that move around the outside at turn number 1. Is he going to make it stick? It looks like no, but he could be looking for a move up the inside of the next corner. Looks to the outside once again. Olsen defending very well, putting the car right in the middle of the track where he needed to, keeping MNU behind. This is bringing Oily up into the fight. About 2/10 gap between Oily and the Aston Martin of MNU, who's now looking for a move around the outside coming into turn number 5. Can't make that move stick. Olsen really defending very hard with only 15 minutes left in this race. The pit window is, of course, shut. All of our drivers have pitted as the Aston Martin goes for a look up the inside. Opens up the door for Oily to maybe sneak his nose in, going around the outside as they come through now into turn number, I think this is number 8 here. Very well-made move by MNU, a long time coming, as he nearly loses the car on the exit of 8, coming into the carousel.
Yeah, and I mean, brilliant driving from Xavier there as we go with Indigo, as we can see around the carousel, you know, the Lamborghini, one of the unique views on the outside of the car. But as you can see right in front, I mean, now Indigo, Suzuka has managed to catch up with both Oily and Parker, and they're battling out there. Look at that Lister going really wide into the grass there. Just everyone's trying to use every inch of the track, and then some, trying to make sure that they don't get passed and that they can pass someone else. But all it takes is just a couple of sequences to try and get by one car, and that bunches everyone up, where now there's like a four-way battle for one position. And that is the crux of what you see with the racing here. It's how do you manage the both defense and offense, and you do whatever you can to try and see if you can hold your position while getting the leg up on the opponent in front. This is like Porsche Cup as well. When you get a good Porsche Cup race and everyone's just, you know, line astern, you really have to calculate your moves. As we can see right in front, it looks like Oily is making a move on the outside of Olsen again here into turn 1, and just manages to hold it. Oh, makes contact, slams into the wall.
Whoa.
Spins all the way across the track. Thankfully doesn't take anybody out. And it's just that little bit of mistake, just ran out a little wide. I think there was a little bit of contact there as Oily was trying to rejoin there from turn 1, making the move stick. And yep, just like that, you're into the wall.
Lets it rip like a Beyblade spinning across the track. That was one of the most magnificent crashes I've ever seen, as Olsen, again, defending to the inside, trying to not let Suzuka by, but ultimately the Shark's going to go swimming past, coming into Corvette corner, just able to make that move on the all-black Celine, as we see another Celine in the background going off. I think that was Larson.
Yeah, that was Larson.
So, I mean, it's still a three-way fight for P10, as we nearly go 3 abreast into turn number 8, and Suzuka spins it, gets corrected by Olsen. This is the second time we've seen him do it. What a gentleman this Black Celine is, stopping cars from spinning left and right. He might as well just be a traction control system, as he's holding down P10 with Sierra and Suzuka chasing him down behind.
Meanwhile, Xavier up in front alongside Drift 340 coming into, I believe, Canada corner. But yeah, I think that was actually Sierra Indigo apps made contact with after the corner. But I mean, the fact that just Parker is there every time someone seems to spin and they get corrected, just consider him a good luck charm at this point. Just consider Parker a good luck charm as we continue to watch Xavier fight Drift here. As an aside, it seems like finally someone has managed to get a little bit quicker than Sarah. Raphael with the last lap, fastest lap of the race with a 2:04.42, but given that Sarah's current pace is around 2:04.8 to around 2:05s, Raphael's going to need to have to get 2 seconds a lap on Sarah. Stranger things have happened, but Sarah is doing an excellent drive right now.
I mean, we've seen it happen in the Silverstone round where, you know, initially I was a little bit skeptical seeing a gap that large with such little time left in the race, but we ended up with a last lap battle for first place. I'm not so sure about it now because Wuschel's pace is still very, very solid, with only about a 4/10 deficit the last time around, as we are now going to be looking at Olsen, who, I mean, they have lost a couple more positions to Larson as well. So the all-black Celine is going to continue to try and make up a little bit more time, more positions on the track, as they're going to try and get back into this fight for P10, which is still going 3 ways. Larson in the orange Celine just behind, turning in nice and smoothly, buttery by the Australian as they come now through Carousel. These 3 drivers all very evenly matched, it seems. Larson with a really decent lap last time out, and with the fastest lap out of these 3 overall with a 2:05.8, compared to the 206.6 and the 206.9 of Sierra and Suzuka, respectively. The bright orange Celine is going to want to get a little bit of a shuffle on and try and make their way back up through the grid. The Australian driver might be seeing P10, and in his home country of Australia, that does mean he is in first place.
Oh, as we see, I think that was Sierra going really wide, just opening the door for Suzuka to go through and Aiden to go through as well. Again, another 2 positions lost. We see that so often, but I think Aiden might get the better of it. Looks like a mirror image of Suzuka from a few laps ago, as Aiden now takes advantage of that situation, gets up 2 places, but still has to defend from Suzuka there. And you know, to your point, from before, as I think, oh, that's Swingley. Ooh, getting into the mix of things, has to cut through the apex there, as I think that's going to hold up Sierra out back, as there Jesper goes.
It's gone off.
Yep, Swingley's gone off there, but continuing the fight here, just Aiden right now, P10. I didn't think Aiden was going to say he needed this big recovery drive, but given that they started in P7 and was involved in that massive incident in the beginning, I have to say a decent recovery drive so far. But back to, you know, what we were saying beforehand, with, of course, you know, the mistakes and, you know, the drivers here, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that with everything going on in the race, the ones that stayed out in front for the most part seemed like they were timid when they were making, you know, overtaking moves. And I think that was the key for the drivers here today. I mean, we saw a lot of aggressive moves that didn't work out because there was either too much of a defense or someone tried to throw their car in when they really couldn't control it coming off the line. And a big one, as we didn't see on screen, but Parker Olsen, who was fighting up there, that was P10 that lost positions, looked like they went wide into turn 1 and they had to give up all sorts of ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of fantastic moves up and down the grid. I mean, with Larson making that move, you know, Sierra getting a little bit squirrely on the exit, Suzuka having to kind of slow down to take avoiding action, and Larson ultimately a bit further back, able to just keep his foot in, and makes that move, as we see Drift 340 making a move on MNU in the Aston Martin. You know, this could be a little battle for P8 that we're seeing here, as the Ferrari ahead in yellow being chased down by the British Racing Green Aston Martin, our championship leader, who's going to try absolutely anything that he can in these last 7 minutes of the race to gain as much ground back as they can.
Given how much Xavier has had to recover, the fact that they're in the top 10 is an absolute, like, legendary performance at this point. And this battle between Drift and Xavier has been going on for the past 3 laps. They've actually swapped positions twice over the course of the last couple laps. But we're running out of time here. We're almost to 6 minutes to go, which would mean around 3 laps left. And this is the closest battle right now for a top spot. As we saw, Xavier just could not keep that momentum coming through the straight after turn 14, that final corner, and Drift just making it look easy. But then, as soon as Drift goes by, Xavier gets back at them through turns 1 and 2. So I think what Xavier wants to do right now, which I think he's trying to do, goes wide out of the carousel and now falls further back. As I was saying, Xavier is going to want a margin, and just like that, that margin has disappeared. So, given that, and given Xavier is now falling at P14, they're going to be absolutely pulling their hair out. And just an unfortunate series of events. With only 6 minutes to go, there's not much time to pull back. But I think right now, who is absolutely ecstatic is Indigo right now, out 5 positions, now in the top 10, has a chance to move up the championship order, and with a decent drive to boot, and with that to go, I think there's going to be around 2 laps after this. Sarah is currently coming around, I believe, Canada Corner, and is going to be starting, let's see, a lap. So there may be 2 more laps after this one. We shall see once we get closer there. The biggest fight that we're looking at right now is the battle you're seeing here for P10. It could be a 3-way battle as Sierra and Parker are trying to catch up. Meanwhile, as we pull down a little bit further in the order, I believe that's Oily coming up Skylar right now, coming real close as they come in through turn 3, going into the Moraine sweep. And Oily has had decent pace here today as, Skylar goes outside, gets a little squirrely coming out of turn 3, has to take evasive action, it looks like. Oily has to take evasive action to not run into the back of Skylar. There might have been a little bit of contact, but both managed to keep it forward and keep it running as Oily's going to have to try another attempt. But as we go and look further up the order right now, looking at who's up to the top 10, you have Sarah at P1 with an impressive 17.5 seconds ahead of Raphael, who also has an impressive 20-second head over on Luke. But Jacob's right behind, trying to catch up, but they're matching pace for pace. P3 and P4 both did 2:05.3s, and given that there's only, I think, around 2 laps to go here today, there's not going to be much time for any more moves. So right now, it's going to be who can keep it on track, who can make it to the very end, and who can make sure that they cross that line without giving up any more positions. As I think something happened with Aiden. Aiden has gone off, and I believe that is Canada corner. I think they hit the curb a little bit too much, and just like that, they lost a couple more positions. As I was just saying earlier, it's gonna be about who can keep it together as we go back right now, right behind Skylar and Oily Rags, both coming up to the line here. And I believe it's going to be after this one, 2 laps to go. I'm currently tracking, again, Sarah is in Canada corner right now. Actually, I believe that's where it's going to be. We shall see again, because I think Sarah is not improving their times as Oily gets side by side with Skylar heading into turn 1. Can they execute the move? They have the inside line. That is the stronger line coming into turn 1, and I think Oily's going to make it work. So we shall see if Skylar can come back to Oily as we come into turn 3 right now into the Moraine sweep. I don't think they're going to get it. A strong move from Oily moves them up to P15.
Yeah, very, very well-made move by the Lister. Very strong and determined, just making that overtake stick through the first corner. And Skylar's going to be chasing them down, but ultimately, I think Oily's more used to these sorts of cars. I think in their time when they're not doing Simufur races, I have known them to do some racing in a Historics League, where, much like these cars, there's no traction control and no ABS. I mean, they're a lot slower, but they still offer a very, very similar challenge. We're going to go on board now with Sierra, who's still chasing down Suzuka. About 8/10 is the gap between the 2 drivers, the Lamborghini and the Celine. I'd argue 2 of the most iconic supercars of the 2000s, battling for position. I mean, the gap's 8/10. It's quite wide at the moment, but they are going to try and narrow that gap down with a mix of slipstream and tyre management as we enter the last minute and a half of this race. I'm not sure how many more laps we are going to be seeing, as I believe Wuschel's exiting the carousel just now, so I think we might just get another lap after this one, as we are seeing a lot of these drivers are, they're following each other quite closely. Olsen now maybe even getting involved with F-Spirit and MNU just behind. So we could be seeing, as we come to the final couple laps of this race, a 5-way fight for P9.
I know F-Spirit is charging, so is Xavier. You can just see how desperate they are. Look how wide they took turn 1 there, almost losing control of the vehicle, as we've seen from so many drivers here today, but manages to get up on Olsen there, coming through the Moraine sweep. Now, we got about 30 seconds to go. I think
this is going to be the last lap. This is going
to be the last lap, as I believe that was Wuschel coming through the line there. So this is going to be the last lap of the race. I think everyone that hasn't crossed the line yet is still going to get one more. So I think for everyone
Yeah.
else, it's going to be one more lap to go as we now switch back over to F-Spirit.
Coming across the finish line, not able to get that gap low enough on those soft tyres, really pushing to get that position, just about unable to get it done. But Sierra is still piling on the pressure. It's going to be a kind of last-ditch attempt to get anything out of the race, as they're going to be coming out of Canada corner through this final complex of corners, as Suzuka is really just trying to hold Sierra behind. Adam Bent just ahead, is a lap behind, pulling over at the right-hand side. Sierra gives a little flash to Suzuka, who comes across the line, finishes P9. Sierra in 10th position. An absolutely fantastic drive from a lot of these drivers. Very, very... I mean, it's been an insane race. And, I mean, what a time it has been. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It has been one of the most intense races I've ever seen. And our drivers are now going to be, cooling the cars down to get a really decent finish as we wind down for round 2 of the GT Legends Championship.
Now, what a massive gain there. Just a note, it looks like Philip HDD managed to actually get by, I believe that was if I'm remembering, the white saline for P4 at the very end. I think that was Jacob. Yeah, I think that was Jacob at the very end. It looked like Jacob made a mistake, and with that will conclude matters here today. Wow, what a spectacle. I do have to say that. It was quite a spectacle to see all these drivers competing it out today. There was massive gains all over the place, but I have to say, for the one driver that pulled it off, it's Sarah. There's no question in my mind. That start from P5 to jump everyone and then finish that far ahead of the order just absolutely did what they needed to do today. Wushel absolutely putting it on point and comes away with the win.
Yeah, with a 20-second lead after all the chaos that happened earlier in the race, being able to just get a really decent pit stop, just doing everything that they needed to do to claim that win today. Fantastic driving from them. Rafael Rodriguez finishing in second place. I believe they're also new in this round, also getting the fastest lap of the race. Ultimately, MNU is going to be losing out on a lot of points here, as I think they've dropped down to maybe 11th or 12th in this race. That's going to lose them a lot of points in the championship. A few new drivers that have come in and laid some impressive work down. Aiden Larson able to keep their Celine going all the way up to the end, finishing quite well for them as well. Adam Bent as well. Fantastic driving from them in the Aston Martin. The Gulf livery looking beautiful as always on the track. I mean, it's been an intense race, and I don't know about you, but I think I need to lie down after that.
I think I do as well, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So from us here at the broadcasting and commentary booth here for Simufur, I've been Paliku'i Grant, joined by Frei here. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you guys next time. I think next week we are going to be at Monza, the 1998 configuration. So if this was anything to go by, I am scared out of my boots what we're going to see into Monza T1.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I don't... Yeah, they have that really weird chicane in this layout of Monza, where it's kind of a bit more of a faster chicane, as opposed to what our drivers are probably more used to. But ultimately, I think the drivers are going to just be trying to get used to the new track, as we might make a few adjustments to the balance of performance after this race. It has been a really chaotic one, but we'll have to see you again next Sunday as our drivers fly over to Italy for the third round at the 1998 layout of Monza.
All right, take care, everyone, and we will see you next week.